my God. And it was with a juvenile, though, too.
Try to look for the other footprint. Where's the 5? Gotta be a second. We got track. That is the second and third.
Well, wait a minute. There's 3. There are 3. This footprint's bigger than that.
Here.
Let me get a picture.
At breakfast earlier that morning, we had run into Brian Gosselin, who's famous in Bigfoot circles for having an encounter in 1976. He was a police officer and yet was not afraid to come forward and tell the world about his encounter. He'd had a report just 3 weeks earlier from an area that he generously told us about and recommended that we check out. Of course, we made a beeline for that area, split up into 2 groups, and just explored. One of the groups walked down a random path beside a cornfield and down to the river. The reason that humans would be unlikely to walk around here barefoot, especially with a small child, is that there's tons of broken glass here right by the water. And a saw, a rusty saw, rusty metal, sharp metal. And there were no tracks coming in on the, no human tracks, no barefoot or shoe tread coming in on this path by the cornfield. So we think that they came across the river, did whatever, swam around, caught fish, and came right up on the edge, walked around a little, and then went back. Because there's also no tracks, human or otherwise, except for the men in the team who discovered this today, up here higher on the beach. Just our tracks now. The whole team has been scouring this area for a couple hours now. Here's a juvenile.
That one's...
Here's the perfect...
And there's clams. On that little island, the little
perfect
sand thing where they
juvenile.
are, there's a whole bunch of clams.
Clam shells?
Clam shells.
Broken?
Yeah.
Good.
Because again, that's a little kid.
That sure is his tiny heel.
Here.
That's such a small heel, so delicate.
You know that one?
That's a little kid.
And look
though.
at
That's
this.
a
This one
small
here is
foot.
tiny.
That's
You can
very
barely even
small.
see this one.
Right. So somebody's going to bring their babies down here.
And
randomly, I
Cliff
don't know.
Cliff makes mention of a telltale sign, which is compression below the toes, right below the
So
toes.
I guess they have to kind of curl.
This was Saturday early afternoon. All Thursday night, there had been a hard and steady rain. So these tracks definitely appeared between Friday morning and Saturday at noon. We didn't do an exhaustive count, but there were at least 20 tracks, partial and full. And they represented at least 3 different individuals. And this is the mid-sized one.
Yep.
This is bigger, far
So
bigger.
there's a left foot.
Well, significantly bigger than this.
Right. And then
Big compression here. So this big daddy is 5, what is it, 5.5 inches?
5 3/4.
5 3/4 inches across. In Sasquatch tracks, the width is about 40% of what the length is. So if this track here were a full track at 5.75 inches across, it should be between 13 and 14 inches long. Just a partial.
Again, that's
probably
very flat-footed.
like that.
I mean, that's a wide toe splay, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of mud in between. But they do splay them.
There's another one. I mean, they're just
everywhere.
in this one area. Look, right behind you. Watch your step. Yeah, you know, we're just stepping all over.
Is this their slide or yours?
That's their
That's
slide.
theirs.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Look at
That's
this.
can
There's
see-
that compression that Chris is
Like
talking
this
about
is
right there.
this is left foot. This is his right slide.
Slide.
And I couldn't really find any more. There's this one here. Another kind of slide.
Is this one?
That almost looks like he slid and put his hand down. Up to this one.
Toes, toes, toes.
There's another.
Okay, so this track is collapsed in on itself here, but this one side is intact, and the bottom of the heel is at the tip of this tape measure. And then the way we know it's definitely a track is, here's the big toe, here's the second toe. It's a right foot, and the end of the toe is at toe 13, a little over 13 inches. This length equates to a size 17 shoe, And less than 0.1% of human beings on Earth have feet this large. The other interesting thing about this print is that it's a right foot. So if it were going to be human foot, the arch would be on this side. And so there wouldn't be as much pressure on this. And this raises the mud very high on the side, uniformly. So there's no lessening when it's the arch. And Sasquatch feet don't have an arch. The famous fake track by Ray Wallace back in 1958 made the mistake of including an arch, whereas the tracks taken of the figure in the Patterson film do not.
These are the 3 track casts that were taken at a riverbed in upstate New York. The first we have here is a partial track cast of a Sasquatch footprint. The second one here is of a juvenile Sasquatch footprint, clearly defined toes, nice imprint. And the third is of an adolescent Sasquatch track, also very well defined toes, very well defined footprint. Our partial cast is approximately 5 3/4 inches from edge to edge. Our baby Sasquatch print is approximately just over 6 inches from the toe to the heel. And it's about 2 3/4 inches wide. Our adolescent Sasquatch track is just over 8 inches long and just about 3 inches wide. Very nice set of footprints.
You can see part of the heel, but the toes are really dug in. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
check that out, man. And then we got a big one. Big one here.
I love these prints over here.
Coming in from the water.
And it goes right into the water over here.